Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining the Web of Life Shamanic Journey Circle. I see some familiar faces, some new faces. And as we start, I'd just like to go around the circle and have everybody introduce themselves, and so that we all know who we're sitting in circle with. Share a little bit about, who you are, where you live, how you came to this work, and then we'll move from there. Jim, you want to go first?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Jim, and I live in Sacramento, California, and I am deeply engaged in the work of shamanic healing medicine. I kind of found my way into a psychic college in England where they did an assessment intervention with me in psychic mediumship and actually kind of directed me to Kauai to learn shamanic healing, which I had no knowledge about. And so I headed to Kauai and immersed myself in Scott's classes, and I'm now in level 2 shamanic healing medicine with Scott and our tribe.
Thank you, Jim. And Jimmy?
I'm Jimmy. I'm here in Texas. And I've been on my shamanic journey since before birth, I suppose. I've been doing some sort of form of healing since I was very young. I get it from my grandmother. She was a healer, Yaqui and Apache from Mexico. And that's where the magic comes from. So basically, and I'm also a licensed massage therapist, and this is my 20th year. I'm worn out, but I keep going.
Thanks,
I keep
Jimmy.
healing.
Thanks for joining us. Anna, nice to meet you in person, Anna.
Hey, everyone. I'm Anna. I'm from Georgia. So I was guided to take the first course from Scott, and it's been a great journey. And I've been always wanted to join the circle, but haven't had the time. And I'm glad that it worked out today. So I'm very glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm really glad you can make it, and thanks for joining us. Amanda. You're muted, Amanda. If you're still muted. So if you're having technical problems, we can continue around the circle and then we'll come back to you. Okay. Doreen, is that how you say your name?
Aloha. I'm Doreen Breedlove. I currently live in Texas, just north of Dallas. And I used to live in Kauai. I lived there for the year 2019 and half of 2020, following a dream to live in Hawaii. I would visit often and just made it happen. So it's an amazing experience. It's only going to last for a year and a half. It's just during that time, and have made some really deep friendships. And probably some of you may know, who are there on the island. And I started shamanic studies with my teacher, Lynn Birmingham, who was Celtic on one side of her lineage and some Native on the other side of her lineage. And that started in 2008. And so it's been a while, and it's over the last couple of years, it has been more in the background, myself practicing. And so I don't know, Scott, how I found you. I don't know how that took place. However, I had something that came into my email. Like, okay, I'm gonna join. Glad that I did. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Doreen, and I have a question. So if I say journey to the lower world, you know what that means. That's easy. Okay.
Yes. Core shamanism is what I studied. So,
Okay. Great. Just wanting to make sure that everybody is on the same baseline here on the call. So,
yeah, good question. Thank you.
yeah, thanks, Doreen. Perry, nice to see you. Just unmute yourself, Perry. You're still muted. Perry, we'll come back to you once you got your tech sorted because we still can't hear you. Okay. Kaz.
Hi, I'm from Australia, from Perth, and my journey's started, well, I guess the first time I did the shamanic journey, and that was when we went to the underground, which was amazing. And I really was guided to this. It's just something I would have never thought of doing or experiencing, but it's just really been, yeah, slowly evolving into this massive journey of awakening. And it's just amazing. I've just come back from a 10-day silent retreat, and that was a mind blower of a journey when it came to, dream time. So I'm really happy to be on this circle and connecting with others.
Great. Thanks. And thanks for joining us
No
early in the
worries.
morning in Perth. Appreciate
Yeah.
that. Thank you. Bethany.
Hi, I'm Bethany. I live in Seattle. I'm actually originally from Oahu, so very familiar with Hawaii, born and raised there. I'm new to shamanic journeying, though I have been guided to do this through meditation and dreams, and I have pursued it a little on my own, but I'm excited to be here today with you all.
Great. Thanks, Bethany. And so when I say something like journey to the lower world, does that...
I do understand, yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Just making sure. Perfect. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Kathy.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so I'm Kathy. I live in Montreal right now, but I'm from the west coast of Canada originally. I'm currently in the level 2 class, and I'm Indigenous, so a lot of the concepts feel very familiar and natural to me, related to other kinds of ceremonies. And I'm really appreciating just having a new practice and a way to feel very connected and receiving of information in ways that I haven't before. And also I'm trying to, I guess, fine-tune that a bit, or getting a clearer communication channel so I don't always doubt. Sometimes I get really clear messages and I'm really excited, and then sometimes I wish I could like tune in a little bit more. So anyway, I'm still exploring and learning. Nice to
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks for sharing that. And one thing about the messages that we get, sometimes they are crystal clear, and sometimes when they aren't as clear, there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that the path forward of right relationship might not be determined yet. It might mean we might be asking about something long range vision, like 1 year or 6 months, but actually we have to go through the next week before we know what's going to happen, right? Because things are always in flux, and of course, a lot of what happens around us is what we do is dependent on what happens around us, which isn't always within our influence, right? There's many dreamers dreaming the dream at the same time, and so sometimes it's just not determined. And so I have a deal with my power animals and spirit guides that to tell me that, so I don't keep knocking my head against the wall going, why aren't I getting clear? And so now I get it's not determined, check back next week or check back tomorrow kind of answer. And that I find gives me a lot more peace in my day-to-day to know that, okay, I just need to be patient rather than trying to figure out why don't I know the answer to this question yet, right?
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. Zaira?
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I kind of missed a little bit of it, but I'm Zaira, and I love to hear that so many people are and have traveled to Hawaii, Kauai specifically. I was just there in September, and that island is just pure magic. I don't even know how to put it into words. But yeah, I'm just kind of trying to see what this is all about. I've done a little bit of journeying on my own with my drum, and I really love Carl Jung and his teachings. And so I know a little bit about how that correlates to shamanism and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm just here to learn something new and see what I can also discover about myself and about the other realms.
Yeah, thanks, Zaira. And so when I say journey to the lower world and meet your power animal, that makes sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And where are you joining us from?
I am joining from Texas,
All
DFW
right.
area. Yeah.
Sorry, which area? I didn't hear you.
DFW, so like Dallas, Fort Worth area.
Got it. So we have 3 Texans on the
Yeah,
call today. Great. Thank you.
Aw.
Thanks, Zaira.
Thank you.
Angela.
Hello. Sorry, I joined a little late. I was planning to be home around this time, but it took me a little bit my appointment. So yes, I missed a couple of minutes there, but I guess everyone is just introducing themselves. My name is Angela. I'm from Peru. I'm living currently in Utah but it's been like what, 20 years. And I started this spiritual journey back in 2017, 2018. And then the last year, I've done many ceremonies and hape, cacao. I even did the ayahuasca. And something that it got my attention to join this meeting was the shamanic. So that's the first thing that it's like, okay, you gotta go. Because when I start meditating, it was really hard for me. I didn't see or heard anything, or the signs out there wasn't for me until I found out the shamanic drums helped me to get into that world like as soon as I put my headphones on. So I don't understand the terms. I've been learning about many other things. Holidays, I don't know. But on the last 6 months, I've been on classes for Reiki and to read the cards and the oracles, and I'm doing I'm sorry, I don't know what is it called in English because I learned in Spanish, and I just did the Akasha registration, I think it is. And
Akashic Records. Yeah.
Records, yes. So, and it's amazing, and I just want to get more so I can get to know myself better.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for sharing that. So with the shamanism, one of the reasons why it helps to open that doorway into our perception is the drum helps to shift our brainwave state. And so there's a specific brainwave state that's been studied. It's called theta state. And when we're in theta state is when it opens the door to our intuitive awareness and really powerful self-healing. One of the coolest things that I know about in theta state is that healing that we are able to visualize in our brain when we're in theta state, not when we're in other brainwave states, but only in the shamanic state of consciousness, actually travels from our brain down the nervous system to the distal parts of our body and repairs and sends the healing message to the other end. Wow, right? Isn't that cool? I think that's the most amazing thing. So that is one of, I don't like to think about shamanism too much. I rather experience it. but it is helpful to have some of the concepts of why it works. And that is one of the primary reasons why it works. And the drum is very powerful, or any rhythmic instrument is, because it helps us to entrain. And like anything else, if we do it over and over again, it's an automatic signal. Just like, when you were learning to drive, my daughter is 15, she's just learning how to drive, right? So, oh wait, keys, wait, she's kind of like messing around with the stuff in the beginning, making sure it's all right. Now she's been driving for a couple of months. She doesn't think about it as much. That's what we all go through. It's the same thing with switching our brainwave states. And that is why the drum really helps to entrain. And it's different than using a plant like ayahuasca, which works on a chemical basis to shift our brainwave states. This happens, and it's a lot easier to do. Like you can drum and then go do something afterwards. You don't have to be hanging out for a couple of days.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And so if I say to journey to the lower world and meet your power animal, is that something that makes sense to you?
Not really. No, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So I'll share you very briefly the method that we use for that, which is visualize a place in nature, a place that's dear to your heart, that feels like it would be a tunnel going downwards. Okay? And then you will go, and when the drumming starts, you'll descend through that tunnel. So it could be, like a spring or a lake or the roots of a tree or a cave, anything that invites going downwards. And it needs to be a place that you've been. It could be in Peru, it could be in Utah, it could be anywhere, but somewhere where you've physically been. Some people go through the ocean. And you just keep going down, 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 down. And when you get out of the tunnel, you check, am I in the lower world? And when you're in the lower world, you call out and you ask your power animal to come meet you. And then when your power animal is there, you verify, are you my power animal? And then you ask the power animal to do whatever is next on the, in the journey. So today I'll share the journey intention in a moment after everyone's finished with introductions. But basically, we're going to be journeying to help repair the fabric of the web of life. So does that all make sense, Angela?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. And actually, I want to ask you, do I necessarily have to be in that? Because on one of my meditation worlds, I go back to a place that I know that I'm familiar with it. Does it have to be like I was there physically?
Yes. Yeah, you start from a place in physical flesh reality, because you're wanting to move from physical flesh reality into spirit reality.
I see.
So you're already moving. Otherwise, you're going to a place straight from where you are.
Okay.
Right, to an imaginary place. It's an imagination rather. And I want you to find an actual, like a place. It becomes your sacred starting point.
Okay.
And I think, traditionally you'll find around the world, a lot of cultures have a place where they say, this is the sacred place where, this is the one tree, the tree that we go up. This is the sacred tree, where they'll climb the tree up or down, up to the upper world, down to the lower world. In certain places, it's this mountain. So in Peru, it might be the Apu, one of the Apus, right? That, and then you go, or through one of the rivers, right? And you go down through a river or a waterfall.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shaheen.
Hi, everyone. This is Shaheen. Sorry, I had a technical issue.
No worries. We can hear you fine.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm from Phoenix. I live in Phoenix, and I'm new to this shamanic experience. So I'm a newbie here. Looking forward to experiencing more.
Great. And thank you for joining us. And as I asked everybody else who I haven't met yet, have you journeyed to the lower world before and met your power animal? Does that make sense to you when I say that?
Yes. So I have taken one YouTube session, like guided session, but I was not able to meet with the powered animals, but I was able to go to lower levels. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, this time when you go down there, just ask again, just you call. So when you get to the lower world, just call out, say, will my power animal please come to meet me? I'm here to journey on behalf of the web of life, to help heal the web of life.
Okay.
Sometimes when we're first starting this work, and we're trying to meet the spirits that we work with, our helpers and our power animals, they will come to us more readily when we're doing it on behalf of another or for a bigger purpose than ourselves. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Shahina.
Thank you.
Lauren. Hi.
Hello, nice to see you.
Likewise.
I'm Lauren and I'm from New Zealand, and I've done a couple of Scots courses, and yeah, I know where the lower world is. What were the other things that you wanted
No,
me to
you
say?
know it. You're there. You're fine.
And it's lovely to be here. I'm so happy that I could be on this call today. I've missed a few of them, so yeah, I'm just really stoked that I can be here with you all and experience today's Web of Life healing. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. Thanks for joining us. Ocean has gotten quite big since the last time I saw her, and her
She
hair has
hasn't
gotten
stopped
long. Oh
growing.
my.
Oh my gosh, she just won't stop growing.
That's her job. Is she almost
Yeah.
3 now?
She's coming up to 4 in August.
Ah, well, there we go.
Yeah.
That's the growth spurt.
Yeah.
First one. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
So I think, who was it? Amanda and Perry, both of you were having a hard time with your audio. You want to try it again and see if you can?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm Amanda. I'm a licensed massage therapist, Reiki master teacher, and this just shamanism felt like my next step forward. I've always been drawn to it since I was a little kid, being in nature and just listening to the trees and letting it move me down a path and not being able to get hurt is pretty cool. So I'm in Scott's first level class, just gotten early stages. And yeah, that's me.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Perry.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Perry, and I just recently moved to Iowa. And I've been working with the shaman work about 3 years on my own. So I'm going to start taking these Web of Life classes and then hopefully get into your classes that you offer from Hawaii. And I'd like to get there someday. So I'm retired, so I got more time now. I can do this.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, well, thanks everybody. What a beautiful circle we have today. And it's an honor to be able to host such a wonderful group. And I really appreciate everybody taking the time to dedicate time out of your life to sitting in circle and journeying for the healing and restoration of the web of life. We have a number of new people on the call, so I want to just share with you how I came to running these journey circles. About 2 or 3 years, maybe 3 years ago, it was made very apparent to me that we need to do something that is non-physical as well as physical to help shift the trajectory that humanity is taking things. And so the web of life, where we have to shift our consciousness as human beings. I'm going to reckon that every indigenous culture, or if not every, 95% of the indigenous cultures in the world understood that we have to pay respect to and live in right relationship with the web of life if we're going to have a sustainable future. And so with all the wonderful technological advancements in, trying to clean up pollution or recycle or be fuel efficient or whatever else is happening, at its fundamental core, if we don't live with respect and actual care and reverence for the web of life and Mother Earth, it's not going to make a difference. Okay, because then it just becomes, oh, I can make money doing a carbon capture thing, or we can do a, carbon trading credits, so we'll grow trees, but then we can cut them down and resell them. That is not caretaking the web of life. That's, gaming the system. Okay, and so for me, the idea is that as we hold these circles, the ripples of what we do moves out into the field of consciousness, to help people realize that we need to caretake the web of life. We need to help heal the web of life and hold it in reverence, or our survival niche as a species is going to close or become more limited. Okay, the planet's going to be fine. The planet's going to be fine. The web of life as a whole is going to be fine. But our human, Homo sapien, and human place on the planet is going to be, Mother Earth is kind of losing tolerance with us, if you will, right? For me, and I think for a lot of people, if you're on this call, you believe that there's a consciousness that is within the web of life itself and Mother Earth itself. And I know I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of experiences of that, whether it's been in my backyard or deep in the wilderness, or even on city streets, where I get messages from the web of life, just through observation. And it's not a thinking thing. I'll walk over somewhere and just get a download. It's like, oh, okay. And I spent years and years, when I was in my 20s and 30s, kind of just wandering around and getting messages and writing them in a journal. And that's just what I did. It was deeply healing for me, because I would be, at that age, we're young and we're trying to figure life out, and would sometimes have questions that I was pondering, and then I'd feel drawn to a particular plant or a rock or whatever, and then, oh, there's the answer that I've been looking for. So that was for my own personal healing. And then, once I became more stable and whole as a person, I was able to apply that to help and hold space for other people and for the planet itself in that way. To what do we need to do as a race? What do we need to do as a collective? And so one of the first visions that I was given when I started teaching, so actually the way I started teaching is that somebody asked me to teach. I was just doing session work for a number of years, and I had a woman ask me. She said, I'm coming, she was from Sydney, Australia. She said, I'm coming over to Hawaii for 5 weeks and I want to learn what you do. Would you teach me? And I thought, that's an interesting thought. I've never thought about teaching somebody else. Okay, yeah, sure. And so, we got to know each other a little bit first and did a distance session. And she came over and I worked with her 3 to 4 days a week for the 5 weeks that she was here. And that became the foundation, the outline, the basis of the courses that I teach. And at the very end of my time working with her, I do a closing journey, which is about what is, a summation of what we've learned in each level of the courses. So any of you who take my courses know that the last journey we do is, completion of the cycle and path forward. So what did I learn in this cycle and what is my path forward? Give me a vision of what my path forward is to be. And so I did that journey, and what I saw was a stone pebble dropping into a still pond and the ripples spreading out. And I was shown, well, that's me. I'm the stone, I'm the pebble, the ripples coming out from one. And then the vision shifted to dozens of epicenters where there were a dozen or 2 dozen and then 3 dozen epicenters, all with ripples coming out. And that was the message, was that I'm supposed to teach because I can be one set of ripples and help, a few hundred people a year through sessions. But if I teach and empower others to also do this work, then that ripple continues exponentially outwards, thousands and thousands of people, and we can really make a big impact on human consciousness, human state of being, healing for people. So that's what I do, that's why I do what I do. I was given that vision, and it's my job to carry that vision forward. And that is why I hold the Web of Life circles, to help to create those ripples and hopefully empower you to also be an epicenter of a ripple that helps to shift human consciousness as we move forward and try to bring things back into balance, and for healing. And, you know, we go sometimes to places in the world and we see people who do live, and cultures that do live in balance in a lot of ways. Or they do their best to live in balance in some ways. And at least at the very minimum, they have an idea, they have an understanding of the need for that. They have an understanding of the spirit world. It weaves through everything that they do day in, day out. They still might be doing a job like a tour guide, but they still have their day-to-day consciousness and awareness. Yeah. So that's a really beautiful thing as well, to witness firsthand and to participate in those types of ways of being. And for a lot of us, we don't have that opportunity if we grew up in the modern Western world, right? And everything was, let's say, disconnected from the earth. And it's amazing to me, a lot of times people, they don't even think about getting their food from the earth. You know, food comes in plastic at the store. And that to me is just, just a concept that's a little bit, I mean, I get it. I understand why it is. But, we see in Hawaii, where we have so much food growing wild all the time, and there's so much abundance here of food. And then sometimes we have visitors that come and they just don't even understand that you can go for a walk and pretty much feed yourself all day when you're wandering around. And that it's just it's a funny concept for me to see that. And I do my best to try and bridge that gap when I'm with people and say, hey, try this, try eating this. And usually the question that I get is it poisonous? Is it going to kill me? And I'm thinking to myself, what was it like 1,000 years ago when people were eating? They weren't going to Costco. So, okay. So today, that's just a little intro there, a little bit about me. So today, what we're going to do is we're all going to journey together. For those of you who have journeyed before and feel comfortable with it, or you've studied with me, you can journey to the upper or lower world. That's your choice. Okay. For those of you who are just starting out and you haven't previously journeyed or only journeyed once or twice, then please journey to the lower world. If you're comfortable journeying to the upper world and you know what that is, feel free. Okay. But if you don't, then please just go to the lower world. And it's a very simple journey and to ask. The first thing is, you connect with your power animal or your spirit helper or your benevolent ancestors that you work with. And then you say, look, I'm trying to make a difference. I'm trying to be an epicenter of a ripple that moves outwards to help shift human consciousness so we can heal the web of life, so we can heal human consciousness and restore reverence for the web of life. How do I do that? How do we repair the web of life? How do I repair the fabric of the web of life? What can I do? And maybe that happens in the journey itself, right? There have been journeys where, healing is actually done on the planet itself. Or maybe you get guidance about something that you can do in terms of being a model or talking to people. It's very open, okay? It's very open. So go with what you are shown. Go with what you perceive. For those of you who are just starting to journey, please understand it's not always visual, okay? For a lot of people, it's very visual. A lot of people have extremely visual journeys. Other people are kinesthetic, means they have a feeling or they hear things, right? They hear messages or they get a knowing. Okay, I tend to get a knowing. I tend to only get visuals if I ask for visuals. If I say turn on the TV for me, they'll turn on the TV and I'll get to see it if I need to see it. But usually I get a knowing. That's me. I have a lot of students who feel their way. They're kinesthetic. They're really somatic with their journey experiences. So understand that that's equally valid to seeing a visual. So if you hear after the journey, when we're going to come back and we're going to share, if you hear somebody describe a whole visual scene and you go, I didn't get any of that, that's totally okay, because you might have just gotten a knowing or a feeling, and that's equally valid. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. And then as far as the journey, I'm going to drum. You'll see me step off the screen here in a moment, and I'll start drumming. And then at the end, you'll hear a callback beat. So for those of you who have not journeyed to the lower world before, when you hear the beat change, you're going to reverse direction and you're going to go back up the tunnel that you went down and come back into your body. Okay, so it's very important that at the end of the journey, you come back into your physical body. And that's why we start and leave. That's why we start and leave from a place that we've been to in physical, ordinary reality also. Okay, because as I was sharing with Angela, we transition between the physical world and the spirit world. So we want to make sure that we're coming back to the physical world to ground into our body. That's a hugely important part of this practice. Okay, anybody have any questions before we start?
Yes, I do. It's just a quick question. So sometimes with answers, would you say that they take time to integrate until that you hit that aha moment, like, okay, now this makes sense. This is what it means.
Absolutely. And when you journey, how do you perceive information? Is it visual or is it a different way?
Very visual and sometimes music, but it just depends.
Right. So what I would recommend doing is when you come back, everybody, if you have a journal and a piece of pen and a journal near you, that would be a good idea, is write down as descriptive as possible, as if you're a video camera describing what you saw without interpretation. So describe your experiences without your interpretation of experiences when you return from the journey, without necessarily knowing an interpretation of what that means. Okay, so if you see an image of something, then you're going to write down a description of the image that you saw, or the video playing on the screen, and perhaps the music that you hear at the same time. Then as you're doing that, you might understand the symbolism. Okay, in the journey itself, if you're getting a series of images and you don't understand what they mean, then what you should do is ask for clarification while you're in the journey. Okay, so in the journey, you just go, oh, I'm seeing an image of a blank. Why am I seeing this image? What am I supposed to learn from it? What's the meaning? Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. Thanks, Sarah. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to journey. welcome back, everybody. Who'd like to share first about their journey? Just, yeah, go ahead, Kaz, and then Perry.
Hi. So I'm in my computer room, so I sat down for to do this, and I visualized going out my back door, and I sat down. I had this large pomegranate tree in my backyard, and as soon as I sat down, I traveled down the roots, and I asked for my power animal and how I can be guided to help. And a moose came up to me and I got onto his back and we went through a large paddock and then he took me to this tribe and I think it was an American Indian sort of tribe. They had the big teepees and that. And there was a fire in the middle of the tribe and they asked me, and they were all dancing around it, and they asked me to hop into the fire. And so I hopped into the fire and the fire turned blue and I didn't like melt, but I kind of burnt away like wood. And then I felt myself, I was in like fetal position in the fire. And that's when I stood up once again. And was covered in ashes. And then the moose ended up picking me up and took me up to a waterfall where when I washed the ashes away, I could visually see the ashes going downstream to this food garden. Now I'm a gardener and I love gardening. So there was like herbs and food and basically, that's when I felt more that when it comes down to it, guiding people towards more learning more about food and also just sort of sending that message out there. But then after all that feeling, I had an eagle come and grab me by my back, lift me into the air, and went back up the waterfall to a pomegranate tree where I sat down. And then that's when I came back up to the roots, back to my computer room, and I sat down in my body again.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah,
it's a
no
lot
worries.
of rebirth in that journey.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Right. And so, there's a lot of symbolism there within that you burn away the old, but then the old becomes fertilizer for the
Yeah,
new growth of the food, right? And
yes.
that's part of the medicine wheel teachings, right? We let the things that we've released serve to fertilize the ground around us. So when we return to the new cycle, the planting cycle,
Yeah.
we do so with renewed strength, clarity, wisdom, vision, right? And so that's part of the cycle. And it's actually a part of the cycle that's often neglected in modern world, right? When you look around, I mean, as a gardener, you'll know that you have to have a fallow time, you have to rebuild the soil, you have to nurture the
Yeah, and being in
soil.
Perth, the soil is so bad over here. It's taken me like 10 years to really uplift the earth and yeah.
Right, break up the clay and get the
Mm.
organic matter and the mycelium in there and all that. But if you look at it metaphorically towards life, uh, many people will plant a seed and it will grow and we'll get a harvest and we don't like the harvest. And what do? We just plant another seed and we never actually think, hey, maybe I need to take some time to prune back, evaluate the harvest, let it incubate, right?
Mm.
And so when you see people who are in, like a series of relationships, whether they're jobs or friendships or intimate relationships that end up doing the same pattern and they get to the same result and they don't like the result, but they keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's because they didn't walk that other part of the medicine wheel, the fallow part. In the northern hemisphere, that would be the northern part. In the southern hemisphere, that would be the southern part. But that wintertime part of the medicine wheel, where we give what no longer serves us, we release what no longer serves us, and then give it back to the earth. And we take that time for introspection and going within. So there's a lot of depth in that journey. It's very beautiful. Thank you, Kath.
Thanks.
Yeah. Perry, and then Lauren, because I know you have to go soon, Lauren.
You want her to go first?
I think you're good.
Okay. So I visualized coming out of my cave, desert terrain, and I was with Elephant, my spirit animal, and we walked out into the desert, and there was a gustado going, and it picked us up and carried us closer to these mountains and hills, and then all of a sudden, all these like finger light passages just made their way up these mountains and dunes and different things like that. They were just going all over, going up into the mountains. So not quite sure what I got out of that yet, but yeah, the veins of passageways. So
Yeah, and there were many passageways.
lots of them. Yeah.
Okay. So you saw many paths.
Many paths.
There you go. Now the next step is to ask, what path is mine?
Right? Yeah, because I'm actually looking at two different positions for a job. One has a children's shelter, and the other one is seniors helping seniors. So it's like, do I go with the kids or do I go with the elderly, you know? And I did not get an answer. I just, I don't feel like I got an answer.
Well, maybe now you can just ask what path is next for me, and ask them to light up if you're visual, ask in the journey to have that path lit up so you can see, or demarcate it in a way where you can see the difference. And
Okay.
in a way, have it demarcated in a way that makes sense to you, right? Because it's a symbolic language, and we're relearning this symbolic language, right? We started off not having this symbolic language of the dream time was not something that most of us were born with. Some of us were born into cultures that carried that. That's what Kathy was sharing earlier about how this resonates with her because it ties together some of the things that were in her culture, right? But most of us on this call, even if we have some indigenous bloodline, may not have had that opportunity to be immersed culturally in that way.
Right.
And so there you have this symbol that, please communicate it to me in a way that I can understand, that I can easily understand. And then you usually get a different, something that shows that. And then if they keep showing you the same thing over and over again, they're like, we want you to figure this out. So that's a whole nother thing. But probably you'll get more clarity. And
Okay.
And if you keep just asking in that way, what is it that I'm supposed to learn? Please show it to me in a way that I understand. You'll generally get more clarification. Thank you, Perry. Lauren. Go ahead, Lauren. You should be unmuted because it says that you are.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I just realized that those earphones don't work. Okay, cool. So I met with my power animal, and she was a black cat, and I said, what kind of cat are you? And she's a jaguar. And then she just looked straight into my face, and I just saw these crystalline, like green eyes, and just started like sending me these like frequencies through her eyes, like straight into my eyes. And then I felt my whole body shifting. And I asked her what she was doing, and she was sending these crystalline frequencies into my body to align me for this journey. And then she turned around and started walking, and we were walking through this beautiful forest, but there was like this arc that we were walking through, and there was all these animals, and all like the whole web of life was like in the forest, like looking as we walked, and I was just following her, and she was just moving with your drum, and it was this really like cool beat. And then just all this information started coming through, and she said, it's all about shifting the water crystals in my body, shifting my plasma every day. The water is the world. The water, the plasma is the living light code in water. It's in all of us. So it's important to align the waters of my body every day, and to align myself through prayer, through journeying, to connect to that higher love, that source consciousness of creator, because that adjusts the water in my body and the plasma, and it aligns me to the frequency that heals and heals the planet. And yeah, when we walk on the earth, when we're in that alignment and our water is singing that frequency, when we share our wisdom and our words and engage with the world, we're healing from that place of purity, that place of love. And so just to be responsible for my thoughts and my actions and my ways of being, and make sure that I really take time every day to bring as much prayer and as much of that divine frequency into my body and into the waters of my body. And then I could hear this waterfall, but we were still walking, and she was still kind of talking to me about all of this stuff. So I haven't really captured all of it. But she said, just lie on the earth, cry on the earth, pray on the earth, and just take responsibility for the sacred waters that run through my body. And the water is what's connecting us all. And then she said, it's time to purify my temple and sing my song. My words are my spell that can heal all of life. And then we went for a swim. And I was like, there's more, but we came back. So I'll go back later.
Yeah.
But it felt pretty full on. It was a lot.
Yeah, a lot of purification.
Felt like a big lecture.
Yeah. They're like, you need to purify yourself. Yeah, well, a lot of times what happens is our guides can see our highest potential.
Yeah.
And then we get distracted by the day-to-day, because there's a lot in the day-to-day. There's a lot. I think they call it like the whirlwind in some productivity and leadership books, right? They say, don't get stuck in the whirlwind. You're going to have to do the whirlwind, because there are the day-to-day things that we have to do, but don't let the whirlwind overtake your whole life, so that all you're doing is just staying, treading water in it, basically. Because then you're never ever moving forward. You're just, essentially you're doing a lot, but you're stagnant because you're a lot of motion, but no progress. And so it's pick one thing that's the most important thing to do today. And, now you're getting your quote lecture of purifying your temple and about keeping those waters moving. So, yeah. Thank you, Lauren. Doreen.
Thank you. First of all, I really feel such honor to be part of this circle and to do this kind of work with everyone. Thank you, Scott, for leading. And I wanted to go after Lauren because I had some kind of a similar thing that took place when I went to my tree. It's actually a tree that I know very well here in Plano, Texas. And she's 450 years old. And 2 years ago, she fell after a really big storm. She's still very much present in spirit. And so when I went in my journey, it was like a reunion with her, because she made it very clear that she is not dead. Which of course I know. It's just that I haven't done journey work in a minute, So it's like, oh, there she is. I just literally cried, because it was like coming back. I call her my grandmother. Came back to grandmother and gave her a hug, and she took me straight down into her, down to through her roots. And the guys that came with me today were Snowy White Owl and black panther, similar to that black jaguar. So I had the black-white yin-yang balance that immediately took place. And what am I to do? How am I to be in support of the web of life? And they said we must clean and purify the water. And so with Snowy Owl, her flying with me, flying me around to all the continents on the world, and with Panther just magically appearing everywhere I was, he provided the crystalline powder that we sprinkled everywhere. And after we did that, the grid around the planet was created, crystalline energy from the crystalline, wherever crystalline place is, the place of the crystals, just activated it all. So the work that we did today was purifying the waters. And all of that then now is just seeping in this moment into every place on this planet. And so there's that piece of it. And I was, thank you for that, placed on the crystalline bed for my own personal healing and purifying myself with that crystalline energy. When the call back came, my gift to Snowy Owl was some seeds and a big hug. And with the panther, he just wanted a sugar cube. So gave him the sugar cube, hugged him, and then came up, hugged grandmother, and here I am. So thank you so much. I feel like I did some work today, some really powerful stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. That's a really beautiful journey, and purifying the water, it's the lifeblood of the planet, lifeblood of the earth. And I love the way the journeys often interlink with each other. And so there's an individual component and there's a collective component. And so that's one of the beauties of working together in a circle, is there is the collective component where our unified intention is far more powerful than the sum of its parts. Thank you. Anna.
Hi. So yes, I think the theme for today is probably something that relating to water, because I went down to the lower world and meet with my elk spirit guide, and the first thing I heard was water source, and I asked them why water, and he was telling me that water is life. Like three-fourths of the earth is covered with water, and your body is made of water. So start with the water source. And it is very important to heal the water. So I asked him, how can I heal the water? How can I help heal the water? And he was telling me that meditation and set intention. So he was saying that meditate under the moon, especially during the full moon, would help. Meditate under the moon, and ask the moon to purify the water, and set the intention to heal the spirit of water. Honor the spirit of water, give love, give thank, show respect and gratitude to the spirit of water. And he's telling me that intention is very important. Get a group of people and do it together. Pray to spirit and ask for help to heal the water. He said that love heal all things. So it's very important to show love and gratitude. I also asked, what else can I do to heal the water? And he said that sending Reiki to water could help too. I have a stream in my backyard, and he reminded me that you can send Reiki to that stream and set intention and ask the water to move and carry that healing energy out to the lake, to the river, to the ocean. Yeah, he just said that it's very important to set intention and just pray for help.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah.
And water being liquid, essentially crystalline liquid, the water molecules will actually shift according with the intent of the prayer that's directed towards it. And that's what's so powerful about the prayers over the water, is is that the molecules themselves, they've done studies, they'll shift with different vibrations. And maybe you've heard of Masaru Emoto, a Japanese scientist, and the work that he did where he took microscopic pictures of water molecules and how they differed depending on what was chanted into the molecule, whether it was love,
Part of that research. Mhm.
right, love or anger. And if you've seen the video, the images of it, it's amazing. It's like it really you can see how the water molecule itself with the negative emotions looks like those negative emotions. And it's fascinating. So yeah, thank you for sharing that journey and taking action to bring a group together to pray for the water in your area. Zyra, you're muted.
Okay, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. So I wrote it down, but I said I began my journey in my favorite river, which is here in Arlington. I instantly turned left towards the deeper part and started to swim upstream, but I wasn't struggling. I was just swimming up. And then from a bird's eye view, I saw an owl flying above me as well. I don't know exactly what kind of owl it was. It was just a regular, like, brown owl. And it's like while I'm swimming, it's like flying above as well. And finally, I get out of the water. I find a little shore, and it comes to my shoulder and it perches up on my shoulder and it just kind of chills there. But I didn't see any messages. I didn't hear anything. It was just very like, it was dark as well. It was nighttime. I just felt very at peace. And I don't know. I don't know exactly what that means or what, but I just I felt very tapped into my body and into that space. I feel like I could have definitely gone longer, like a good 30 minutes, but yeah, I find that interesting that everybody has this correlation with the water today, and that makes me excited. It makes me want to go to that river today and offer it some healing, some love, and also ask it to provide us with its healing and with its love. So yeah, that was my journey, and I really enjoyed that. So thank you for guiding that. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Zyra. Appreciate you sharing. And sometimes it's just about going out and connecting in nature, on the land, in the water, in the river, as you're feeling called to do.
Yes.
And that's here you are, and then the owl lands on you. And so what does that mean to you when an owl lands on you in a journey? What does that symbolize to you? What's the message of that? Some form of connection to something, whatever whatever that owl.
When I think about that, I instantly think of like courage. I don't know, something of like courage of like that power of not being alone, of not doing
Being
things.
protected and
Yeah.
guided,
Mm-hmm.
connected to the spirit world, to your
Yeah.
spirit guides.
Yeah, and you know how owls can turn their head all around? It's also like they give you that other perspective, that other view that you can't even see. So,
And seeing in the dark.
yes, exactly. No, I definitely resonate with that. Thank you.
Seeing in the dark, like illuminating the shadow. For Kathy and Jim, you guys just did owl medicine. Illuminating the shadow. That's one of the journeys we do in level 2 is journeying to owl and ask owl to illuminate, shine light on our own shadow, shine light on the place that we need to see right now that we've been blind to, because we all have our blind spots, right? By necessity, we have to filter out information in order to survive. And sometimes what we filter out, we need to see. And so we ask owls to shine light on those shadows for us. What is it that I need to see? What is it that I'm keeping in my shadow, and why? And what am I gaining from keeping it in the shadow? Sometimes I put things in my shadow because it's uncomfortable, right? I just want to keep it in denial because I don't really want to see that I've, um, been a brat or whatever, or been snappy and hurt people that I love accidentally. I don't want to look at that. I'm too busy, right? No, you're not too busy. You actually need to look at that. Not that that's your thing, but you see, so it's part of that shadow is illuminating these aspects of self that we have not been aware of yet. And that only happens when we have the spaciousness. If we're caught up in our day-to-day, we probably don't have the time for that reflection. But if you're lazily floating on the river in that deep part of the pool and enjoying your connection there with nature, you might have things illuminated, both personally as your shadow, but also in a larger sense as far as society and the web of life and things like that. Because our intention here is bringing, our human relationship back into one of reverence with the web of life. And sometimes that takes actually getting out there and spending the time and connecting with the land directly. I make it my business every morning. I've been guided in a journey every morning to step outside, even if I'm going to be at home all day, step outside in my yard and find 3 things in my yard that I'm thankful for. This morning, there were 3 hibiscus flowers that were incredibly beautiful. And it keeps me to notice the flowers more, or a fruit, or the way the light is playing off the mountains or through the clouds, whatever that is, or through the trees, or a particular bird that comes by that I know. Yeah, so that's part of it too.
Thank you. Thank you for that advice. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely wrote down some notes, so I'm gonna be
Awesome.
using that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ira. Kathy.
Yeah, I decided to share when I heard Anne's because mine sort of was like a meditation. So just writing down the description, I said I went to the lower world, and usually my spirit animal who kind of meets me at the door to this hollow place is called Dancing Bear. But I don't always work with him because he's very playful, and he's the one that reminds me to be lighthearted and fun and to dance. But that's not always the vibe that I need, so he takes me to meet something else. And so I met another bear who was more of serious, and I don't know, I guess I always wonder about like where I'm gonna sit. I don't know. So they gave me a chair to sit on, and even in my mind, I'm thinking, well, where do the bears sit? Like, do they just stand up all the time? But anyway, they made me comfortable, and I could put my feet up. And I just wanted to just describe the place a little bit where I always go. It's like a hollow in the earth, and I go in, and it's quite dark, but there's an opening like over here where I meet with owl and like the birds, and there was an opening in front where the sea creatures come, like turtle. So it's a very interesting place. So it took a while to get going, and then the bear led me in a guided meditation where I was asked to send love to earth, to the birds, the mountains, the waters, the animals, the trees, the flowers, and the seeds, and to the soil, and to see the soil filled with nutrients. And then in terms of the sun, I was instructed to send love to the sun, but then receive it back and with a big breath. And the same with the moon. Send love to the moon and then receive it back with a big breath. And then send love to my own body, which is a microcosm of Earth herself. And earlier today, I had watched a YouTube how to recognize the particular signals from different kinds of birds. And so it referred to that about like learning to read the messages from birds. That was a cool thing to do. And yeah, that's basically it. And this kind of meditation is very similar to the what the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address. So whenever they have a gathering or maybe individual people, they do this every morning, and they basically acknowledge and send love to all creatures on the earth, and it takes about half an hour. It's always really long, but and then at the end they say, and if I forgot anything, please excuse me, and please include it here, because I was wanting to include everything. So
Yeah, that is such a beautiful practice. And of the Thanksgiving address is such a beautiful practice. It's really, when I first read about it in the book Braiding Sweetgrass, which I reckon you're familiar with, I was like, man, I wish I grew up like that. And the way she writes about, imagine how different it would be if we all took the time to do that before we made important decisions. Like, yep, that's a good point. Absolutely, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Thank you, Kathy. And there's another book that you might be interested in. It's called What the Robin Knows.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've heard that book. It's by John Young. And it's a book on bird language. It's a book on bird language. So the different types of how to recognize the different types of calls of birds, whether they're territorial calls or companion calls or morning song or alarm calls and things like that, and bird behavior, and how to be able to it's a nature awareness immersion practice. It's rooted in Native traditions, Native American traditions of going to a sit spot in the morning, right? So you go and you sit in your sit spot, and it's your sacred area to watch the sunrise. And you go to the same place every day to observe. And he's, talking about having his students take notes and things. And it's such a beautiful practice because you start to recognize the individuals. It's not, there's a bird. It's there's that bird again, right?
Yeah.
There's that Japanese white-eye that likes to hang upside down from that branch every morning, right? So you get to start to see the routines of the local birds. And it's really good if you can do it in an area that's near where you live, because then you can do it more frequently. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda. Just unmute yourself.
So I'm Panda, and I was feeling very weightless and light, and I realized I was flying. Then full of
Wait, you're kind of breaking up. Your internet signal, I think, is a little bit weak. So try turning off your video feed and just speaking, and maybe we'll be able to hear you better. Oh, now you're muted. Oh, and now she lost her connection. All right, who'd like to share next? Anybody else?
I can go. Well, I went to the lower world and specifically asked Owl, how do I begin to heal the fabric of life? And Owl and others started to run 2 tracks at the same time right away. One track was, both tracks actually, the theme was heal. That's how you heal, by healing. And so, okay, my healing is important here. And the 2 tracks that we're running, one was in when I was went to an opera over on New Year's Eve in Paris, where there was a ballet, and I was front and center, and it was called Play, really out there ballet, but it got to me, and something was happening to me during this ballet, very, very emotional. And a big part of it was they were dressed up as animals with stag horns as they were dancing. And the other track that was playing at the same time on my journey was my last week. I was on the Miwok reservation right on sacred. I was actually camping on tribal ground all by myself. And there was a sign at the beginning of the tribal area that said, as you walk through this, I didn't have my camera with me, Scott. I would have taken a picture of it for you. It said, as you walk through on the sacred ground, please know that the Miwok Nation did not differentiate between the plants that you will see and the animals that you will see and themselves, that they were all the same. So it was not in their world to separate them out. And so that got to me. And as I was, so I said, okay, I get the integration of the healing and the feeling I'm getting from this. So it wasn't just the visual, it was the feeling, was the emotional. Okay, what's going on with these emotions? And that was the question I asked. And they said, well, the theme here of the ballet and of the Miwok people were play. And because that was a subtext in the Miwok narrative, was the importance of play in their life. And that it wasn't just sustenance and how do I live for today. They enjoyed living for today. And there was a lot of play in their world. And so that's I thank them for that message. And I'm paying attention to this. And I said, okay, specifically, how do I play? And they said, put on horns, wear jewelry, wear costume, dance, sing, but play. And that was the healing that I got.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jim. And you're kind of like working ahead because the first journey of dolphin medicine is about
there's
play.
the water. There's the water part. So I was going to like go over the top with that at the top of the ninth, but yeah. I'm right there.
Got it. Thank you. Thanks, Jim. Would anybody else like to share? I'm gonna share my journey if nobody else wants to share right now. Okay.
I can share.
Angela, go ahead,
Yes.
Angela.
Well, I don't think I went to the lower world. It makes sense because I can put it into words that I could understand. But what I saw, I was trying to go on a tunnel. But then because it's something that I never been there before, well, I have, but this place is specifically under the tunnel. Like I couldn't even get to the place that I was supposed to go. So I kind of got stuck in the tunnel, but I was observing absolutely everything. And then there was like little puddles and I start jumping on them and playing around and just, I don't know, taking my time. And I started seeing faces, but I can't recognize them. And then at the end of the tunnel, when I finally, oh, okay, that's where I have to go, I saw a group of people that they were waiting for me. And they were saying like, oh, just hurry up, just let's go, we're ready. We're gonna go together, don't worry, like giving me support. But I was taking my time. And then I met my dad in the middle of it and he started telling me about his day. And I asked him, hey, Dad, let me just go there and then I'll come back. And then he's like, oh, okay, yeah, don't worry. And then my daughter showed up and said something like, hey, Mom, do you want to know how my doctor's appointment was? I'm like, yes, baby, I'll just give me 20 minutes and I'll be back. So the group of people were seeing all those scenes, like waiting for me, and they were just waiting. And it's something that I deal with, is that I have to be busy in order to see my worth. And then the last year, I'm trying not to see it that way. So it makes sense to take my time, because that way it's like I'm healing myself in order to go beyond and be able to heal something else as big as, the web of life. So as soon as I start hearing that it might sound like the end of like the callback or whatever it's called, I got to the group of people and they were like, okay, we're ready to go. And that's when I just came back. Like, I don't know, that's what it ended. And
Yeah.
I just came back. I don't know, that's it. So nothing really deeper, but I feel content, and thank you.
Thank you, Angela, for sharing. Couple of things I'll share with you. One is that it sounds to me from what you described that there's a message there about your obligations in your day-to-day with your family and friends, and sometimes distracting you from the objectives of what you're wanting to achieve. And so I want to go here, but now I need to talk to this person or that person and the other person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like that could be a part of what is going on. And then
Yeah.
also, I think if you want, there is a link, one of the pages on my website, and I can send it to you by email, has a tutorial video of how to journey to the lower world. It's sort of an abbreviated version of my class 1.
Okay.
And I'll send the link to you or anybody else who wants it. Just email me and I'll send you a link to that, and then you can work through those instructions, and it might give you a little bit more clarity. It's hard for me to share that in a group call where everybody else is journeying, but that's what
Right,
we do in the
right.
courses,
Yes.
and then that's something that you can do to have a little sample of it and see.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. And yeah, I wish I could be more prepared, but still, like, I feel like I was supposed to be here, but thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you came. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to share? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna share. Can you hear me?
Hear you perfectly.
Yeah, so I had a little bit of a struggle to really connect with my power animal. So I went down the dark tunnel and I ended up in a dark forest. And then I was waiting to find this power animal. And it seemed like my brain was trying to imagine like some animals, like elephant and maybe a rabbit. But then I caught myself that it's my brain trying to find an animal. And then like 10 minutes into the session, I felt like my brain was it was releasing itself, like my brain was not active and I was giving into this session. Maybe it was a different feeling, more relaxed, I guess. And at that point, I saw something like colorful, like rainbow-like, and it seemed like a hummingbird or a crow. It was a combination of the two. And I was trying to figure out, like my brain was getting active again and trying to figure out whether it's a hummingbird or a crow. And then that was it. I was trying to look at it, but then there was no message. There was no communication. And then it felt like my brain got active again. And then the callback happened, and that was it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So that's a really good observation, self-observation about your brain activity. So what happens is when our brains start to go into our thinking mind, then we switch out of the theta state. And we go into that logic mind, which brings us out. We start thinking, was that a crow? Was that a hummingbird? Am I going to get down there? Is it going to be a rabbit? Is it going to be an elephant? Right? But it was really good that you were able to relax and slip into the journey state. And sometimes it's both animals showing themselves alternatingly, right? So here's a hummingbird, and then it goes black and it's a crow. So it could be both. I will also send you the link because I remember that you said that you hadn't journeyed previously. So I'll send you that link too. And then just journey again, at your own time. There's also a drumming download on one of the pages of my website that you can download and listen to, or if you have your own drumming download to use, that's fine too. And then just try again, and you're welcome to email me and let me know how it goes. Yeah. And please, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying thank you.
You're very welcome. And please remind me how you say your name.
Shaheen.
Shanine. Okay. Got it. Thanks. Thanks, Shanine. Okay. So my journey was really, I loved my journey. I was shown, in my journey, I was shown our group here today, the people on the call, as a inner circle, dancing, holding hands and dancing in a circle on the top, like a vision of the earth, and us dancing and holding hands and stomping in so that every stomp on the earth sent the vibration of the intention of healing. And then those vibrations all moved outwards and moved outwards. And then I was shown a wider circle around that with the ripples. And that is other people who we touch, other people who are watching this on the video, and who you touch. And just these vibrations really moving outwards into the earth. And then I was shown that I was given a question to ask myself and to share with the group. And the question is not so much, we all here are for a reason because we want to make a positive contribution to the web of life. We want to learn to be in reverence and right relationship, or we already do live that way. It's our intention. How then do we present it to someone who doesn't have that intention? How do we preach not to our own choir, but to those who see it as a zero-sum game, as a conquest or dominion over game, which is not how I see the world, but some people do. A lot of people see things in a zero-sum way of being. They're competitive all the time, right? There's nothing wrong. Sometimes competition is competition, but I was shown that, if there was intertribal fighting, you fought, but you didn't cut down the other tribe's food supplies because it wasn't viewed as one tribe's food supplies. It was viewed as the food that people ate. And whereas then there was this, what I was shown as like a glitch in the program or a virus in the program, a mental or spiritual virus of conquest by destroying the earth so other people couldn't live on it. And that's how land was taken. And that happened not just in America and Turtle Island, but all over. The food sources were destroyed. Monoculture came in, happened all over Australia, right? Tasmania especially. And so how do we approach people who have that attitude and help them to shift, right? It's one thing to spread the message to like-minded folks and to share skills or things like that. It's quite another thing to spread that message to people who are perhaps not even receptive to it at this time. And so I was shown just to pose that as a question, as how do we show people how it doesn't have to be zero sum? how can we demonstrate that, look, there's a way for you to get your needs met and to caretake the web of life. It's not an either or proposition. It can be done collaboratively, and not only can it be done collaboratively and interdependently, but when we do so, we actually do a lot better than in this independent little kingdom, little fiefdom mentality. So that was the message of my journey. And then I was shown everybody in the group holding hands, dancing the circle, stomping into the earth and sending those vibrations outwards with the intention that people just get it. And maybe it's something that we do through speaking, maybe it's something we do with modeling, maybe it's something we just do by journeying and stomping on the earth and sending those vibrations out, and other people pick it up and they wake up and they go, you know, what I'm doing isn't sustainable. I need to do something different. So that's our message. That's what I'd like to close with. And thank you all very much for taking the time to be here today and to donate your energy to this cause of reverence for the web of life. Really appreciate you. As I said, the next 2 months, we're taking time off the meeting. The next meeting will be the first Wednesday of August. And I look forward to seeing you all then. And feel free to email me. Thank you, guys. Bye.